Here we go. The wind is up and it's game on again.
This jockeying by INEOS happened a little late. They're in a tough spot here right now.
The starts are getting closer as the teams are sort of figuring out a few set plays.
Out of the water, off we go. Takeoff time, catch an air.
And our starts weren't good enough.
If you're in front, you're in control. Slugfest, here we go.
That's sport, so we've got to come back fighting harder.
Rossa Prada Pirelli, Jimmy Spittle, Francesco Bruni are in the box seat.
It's very, very close racing between these two boats.
Don't take your foot off the pedal because Ainsley and the Brits are coming for you.
You're a split second away at any time sailing these boats of a lead change.
Rossa Prada Pirelli haven't been behind all day.
We need to think about the next race, stay focused because things can turn around very quickly here.
When you're behind, you keep throwing the maneuvers at them, just trying to force a mistake.
Yeah, who would have thought attacking duel and falling monohulls?
Now this is just lay on top of your competitor as hard as you possibly can.
This will have the traditionalists turning in their graves.
Rossa Prada Pirelli go 4-0. They are now only 3 races away from meeting the defender.
We're not happy being where we are.
Now they've lost 4 in a row. What can they do?
We've got to turn it around. We'll move heaven and earth to do that.
Te hei Maori ora, welcome to Aotearoa, New Zealand, the land of the long white cloud, a nation of diverse landscapes. This is Auckland, Tamaki Makaurau, base for the 36th America's Cup. It's been 7 days since racing commenced in the Prada Cup final, and for INEOS Team UK, 6 days to figure out how to get back into the battle after losing the first 4 races. Rossa are in the prime position, a mere 3 race wins away from challenging Emirates Team New Zealand for the America's Cup. 2 different scenarios that bring 2 different types of pressure in a game where 1 mistake can cost you everything. To win the America's Cup is no easy task. The 3 challengers went through the round-robin phase where INEOS Team UK finished top. The reward, direct entry to the Prada Cup final. That meant Rossa had to get through the Americans, which they did. Now in the final, it's the first to 7 race wins. The team hitting the magic number will face Emirates Team New Zealand in the match. Today's racing is again Course E, the Maraetai Beachlands option. Rossa has port entry and Britannia has starboard for race number 5. Remember, each win is worth a point. The standings at this junction are a very simple read. Rossa, the challenger of record, has 4 wins. INEOS have the big donut, 0. 3 more wins, the Italians are through, and Sir Ben's brigade are done. It's a critical day for the British. Is the comeback on? Your commentary team are primed and ready. On the water, former Artemis skipper Nathan Outteridge. In the sky, American Magic's Paul Goodison. Well, I'm joined by double Olympic gold medalist Shirley Robertson and North Sail's head honcho Ken Reid. A 6-day break, Shirley. Will it affected the Italian momentum?
Stephen, I think you might be spot on. At a time when Rossa would have wanted to keep up the pressure, keep the winning momentum on track, it's been tricky. A week of delays and uncertainty, so definitely hard to keep that winning focus. You could really sense, though, a real nervous energy as they left the base. Today is massive. They're hopeful, buoyed by their perfect score line and the near-perfect execution of last weekend. There is no doubt they head out into this light air day, a formidable, confident unit.
And for the Brits, what a week it's been. These sailors can't wait to go racing again. A smaller group at the dockout was anticipated because of the crowd bubble restrictions, but the raucous reaction from family and shore team was phenomenal. As if the sailors really needed more inspiration. They all know this is crunch time. This squad has spent a lot of time on the water this week. Long, long days searching for any tiny bit of speed clearly needed to turn the tide on the Italians.
And so when we talk about INEOS Team UK, Shirley, we talk about a team that were literally flawless in the round robin, but yet teamwork has slipped. Can they get their mojo back?
Oh, for me, Stephen, the pressure is very obviously on the British boat, and this is a turning point. Get a pair of wins today, and the belief is back. You've got Luna Rossa questioning themselves. If the wins go with the Italian boat, well, then I can't see them not finishing the job tomorrow.
Oh, for the Italians, this is just do more of the same. They honestly have done a phenomenal job of improving their boat, not just in the lighter air, which we always knew they were really good in, but in the breeze as well. So for the Italians, they just need to do more of the same. Keep the pressure on. Do not give these guys a break or you're going to be in trouble.
It is not a done deal. Get ready. Race 5 of the Prada Cup final is not too far away. This is the Italian challenge.
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli was out on the water as late as 7 p.m. local last night, clearly not taking anything for granted. In shark speak, they taste blood in the water. And athletes speak, put them away now and don't let the British gain any momentum. The afterguard trio of Sabello, Spithill, and Bruni have clearly pulled the tactical decision-making together. They'll need that same magic and more in what looks like a light, shifty, challenging conditions out on the water today.
It's great to get the boats back out on the water and racing. You know, Auckland's under level 2, but we have protocols in place that we can still go racing. So the guys are all ready to go. We've been ready since Wednesday, really. And yeah, I think the biggest part is still take each race as its own. It's still a long way to go. 3 points can be 3 very long points. I'm sure Ben and the talent they have in his team, we're going to come out charging today, so we just need to be able to respond and keep that momentum going.
Here's a team that has to come out swinging.
INEOS Team UK has to deliver today. In terms of pressure, it's right up there. An unbelievably strong grinding trimming unit. There's no question there. Whatever power the back of the boat demands, these athletes deliver. Until their last outing, we've been consistently impressed by the decisive clinical calls between skipper Ben Ainsley and tactician Giles Scott. Last weekend, that faltered. But they've done a ton of sailing this week, and we're about to see how talented this pair really are, because today they have to deliver, and deliver big.
I think Ben's, fully excited for the challenge we've got ahead of us. We've been living in that kind of world for a few months now. We've been right up against it from really the minute we set foot here in New Zealand. A little bit on the back foot. I don't think there's any hiding from that. And we've come through a lot of challenges, and this is another one that's right here in front of us. And he's fully excited. We're all fully excited about the prospect of kind of taking on the Italians and turning this around.
Today we're on the back paddock, or in America's Cup terms, Course E. A light southwesterly sea breeze has found its way across the North Island from the west coast. Our standard 2-minute start sequence is then followed by a 3-lap windward leeward course with 1.8-mile legs, finishing downwind. To give us the up-to-the-second view of wind and current out on the course, our other favorite double Olympic medalist, Nathan Outeridge, live aboard Chase Boat 1. Nathan, what are you seeing today besides a lot of spectator boats?
G'day, Kenny. It's great to be back out on the water. It's been nice, slow build sea breeze coming here right now. We're just looking at the current models as we speak. You can see not a whole lot of current over our course, but in between Motuihe and Waiheke, there's plenty of current over there. In terms of wind, it's slowly been building out here. It's currently about 8 to 10 knots. In these conditions, I think it gives Prada a small advantage. I also see different sized jibs on the boats. Prada's on their 1.5, INEOS has got their big jib on, and the right-hand side seems to have a click more breeze than the left-hand side. So look for the boats to be fighting for the right-hand side or the windward end of this start line.
Nathan Outeridge on chase mode 1 as we prepare for races 5 and 6 today. Out on course C. It is day number 3 officially of the Prada Cup final. What a spectacle that is. Spectator boats out on the course. Virtual eye showing you the stadium course. Doesn't get any better, and there is breeze about then, and we cannot wait for this one because it is game on, and it is such a big day for Luna Rossa and INEOS. This is what it's about. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, INEOS Team UK. Who's got the boat that can do the job today? That will be the question.
Staying on your foils in this early going, Shirley, before the sea breeze really mixes in, which they're expecting a couple more knots, maybe later in the day. But certainly not making that pre-start mistake. That mistake that puts you in the water, and like we saw in race number 1 with these two teams, essentially one boat sailing away.
The wind sampling period is complete, and this race will start on schedule.
And we're going to have a race.
Good news. I mean, as you say, Kenny, it's actually quite puffy as the sea breeze establishes itself. We've seen between 8 and 11 knots as we've been building up, and a difficult decision really for each of the team, you know, which jib to go with.
We know that INEOS Team UK have the larger of the jibs, known as a J1. So that's the biggest. You can have the light air. But a smaller jib, we understand, on that boat there, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
Yeah, Nathan called that one, and that is exactly the telling feature, that we think Luna Rossa is a little more slippery and able to get up on the foils a little more effectively than the British boat, so they can go with a smaller jib. Remember, when you're in the water, you need power to get out of the water. Once you're out of the water, you need to get rid of power because that turns into drag very quickly.
Let's talk quickly about engaging in the pre-start. Do you think INEOS surely engage in the pre-start or stay away from it just to make sure they get up and go?
Well, there's enough breeze, potentially enough breeze, that it's not necessarily a concern that they're going to get stuck in the water. I think we will see fireworks. Ben Ainsley, he has ice going through his veins when it matters most, and you know, I think we'll see some aggression.
On the other hand, Stephen and Shirley, there is the case that they're more nervous about coming off their foils. So you want to just stay away from the other boat and get off this line easy. Whereas if you're Luna Rossa, stick them both in the water because you're going to get out faster and get away.
6 seconds before Luna Rossa come in on port entry. They're allowed in from 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And INEOS Team UK in at 2 minutes. They're flying in on the right-hand side, INEOS. And in come Luna Rossa, and it'll be on time. In come INEOS Team UK. So now it's game on, and will Jimmy Spill and Francesco Bruni try and force INEOS off the foils? That'll be one part of the equation.
Well, a starboard tack boat, which is INEOS UK, actually is at a small disadvantage because they have to do more maneuvers than the other boat. Remember, maneuvers in this light fluky condition are scary. You come off the foils much more commonly when you're doing a tacker jibe, but they pull off that first jibe just fine.
Boundaries 45 away here. 28. This is coming up starboard lane now.
A little soft on the boat here.
Yeah. Mowing starboard lane.
Copy.
Hurry up. Boundary 30 away this course, 120 start, 350.
The Italian boat will pick its time back to the line right now. Then it's up to Ainsley to either lead back or follow and push. If he thinks they're early, he will go beyond them. And it looks like he's going to do that.
He's soaking. Still on starboard. Straight. Boundary 10 away.
Yep. 2, 1, 4 down.
60 seconds to race start. Race number 5 of the Prada Cup final.
Well, Ben Ainsley setting up to windward, and now he has the choice, either gap off, and we've seen that been really a great start to get, or if there's enough time, get the hook.
Can Prada slow down enough to kind of force the issue with the Brits, though? That's that they've been practicing this maneuver on slowing down high and slow like they're going right now. Can they box them out?
Killing 6 at the starboard end, killing 5 at the starboard end, still favour starboard.
Pushing out.
On board with Giles Scott. Right now, Prada is in a nice little spot.
Ben Ainsley lining up for the hook. Pushing the Italians down the line. Both of them are out.
Don't get closed out.
Killing 2.
Stand by, board down, board down.
Board's going down.
start underway. Both teams across the line early. Both teams across the line early. What a start to race 5 of the Prada Cup final.
Both pushed their protest button. Both thinks the other one fouled.
Penalty GBR. Both boats OCS, which is neutralised. Penalty GBR.
Wow, both boats OCS, Shirley. That means both were over early, but that was neutralised because they say they went even. All of a sudden, the British have a penalty for either windward leeward, barging, whatever you might call it. There were probably any number of different fouls right there.
Well, I'm sure we'll see it again, but it looks like the British tried to squeeze in the space that wasn't there.
The bottom line is they're going to have to get behind the other boat, Stephen, right now. They're going to get off of their penalty by getting behind the other boat, and they have.
Good pressure still inside, right team.
Board down, go, go.
Hang on. 30 knots. Making high now. Working up.
Building.
Okay, 31 knots. Your wheel. My wheel. Your wheel.
Another penalty.
Nice. Are we going to play across here?
Yeah, no, he's
You hear Stewart complaining about this. There should be another penalty because they got an advantage out of it. I think he's actually got a case.
More pressure coming in. Yeah, good angle there. We'll keep this.
Your trap, Jimmy. My trav.
He's matching angle. He's now slowly coming up. Come up a couple here. Coming up. Up a couple. Yeah, that's fine. No
This is the umpire. This is the umpire. GBR gained an advantage. GBR has to get 50 metres behind Italy.
Oh, he's given us another penalty. Let's take it with the tag, I think. Back to the boundary. Stand by. My pitch.
So Jimmy Spittle gets the protest. He wants another penalty for INEOS Team UK on this first leg of Prada Cup. Race number 5 in the finals.
He talked it through, Shirley. Jimmy Spittle was the commentator there. He wasn't talking to his crew. He was talking to the jury members, actually explaining what was going on during those maneuvers.
Yeah, umpires,
Let's go up into the sky now. Let's just watch it again. This is where it came in.
Yeah, this is a tough spot. The Prada boat did such a good job of going high and slow, and really the judges decided it was either windward leeward or stuffing their way into a spot that they weren't allowed to go. They have to avoid a collision, both boats, but that was close.
Jimmy Spittle also made it look like there potentially was a gap. Teased him to come in there.
Still a penalty on the British.
You are to slow your VMG to do the penalty.
This still has to do with the penalty off the starting line.
On the wind now. Come on, we're behind him, Richard. What do you want, mate?
GBR, you have 10 metres to drop.
Pressure's building in 10. 10 metres.
You still have to drop so fast more here.
Happy my wheel here.
You can hear the frustration in Sabine asking Richie, what do you want us to do? Penalty still on, shouldn't be too far away before that penalty is dropped off. Let's go high to the sky. We welcome another Olympic gold medalist. Main still timber for American Magic, Paul Goodison. High in the sky. What are you seeing? What do you make of the start?
Oh, what a start that was. The Italians did a great job there, just holding high, really putting the pressure on the space of the windward end. And now it just looks like it's hard to scrub the penalty. Every time Ben tries to lose the penalty, ends up further right in more pressure and makes a gain. So I think now the penalty should be gone. But the outside of the course is looking really strong. Always seems to be a little bit more pressure over here.
Still hasn't scrubbed the penalty, Goody. It's unbelievable that. But the good news there is INEOS isn't going slow, because if you can't scrub a penalty, that means you're actually got pretty good pace. So I guess that there is an upside to it, and it's finally up.
I think a lot of that is to do with the geometry of the course. Each time you step right, you're kind of paralleling the course and not making your way up there. And Rossa did a good job there.
Good pressure right if we want to double up. He'll go in.
So despite suffering a number of penalties on this very first leg of race number 5, INEOS Team UK are well in this race. It has once again turned to attacking duel, and those grinders will be working overtime today.
It's only 14 back to ley line, so it's painful.
Going straight here, get a ley line.
Keeping it quick. Okay, pressure building in 5.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1.
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, the team that has a 4-0 lead in this Prada Cup final, are first through the top gate. But there's not much in this one. Both these boats performing well in lighter air today on course number E. Around go Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, but right on their tail are INEOS Team UK.
My wheel. Nice pressure bearing away in 3, in 2.
Ben Ainsley, Giles Scott get them around the top gate, and they're just 15 seconds behind. Nothing in this.
So Nathan, before the start, we were watching for a while, and we watched the Prada group practice kind of a high and slow mode with both boards down that they could get down to 17 or 18 knots. So for all of us laymen in our boats at home, that's like luffing before the start, like luffing up. But in these boats, you want to slow down yet not come off the foils. That's exactly what they did in the pre-start, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll go just before.
Yeah, Ken, you're exactly right. They did a great job in that pre-start of jiving onto the windward ley line and being able to sail up high and slow. And when I saw them jive, I thought, oh, they've actually given the start to INEOS. They've gone too low. But by able to be sailing that high slow mode coming back to the start, they kind of suckered Ben into coming in saying, hey, look, we're not laying, come on in, and then last minute shut the door and draw the penalty. If they didn't get the penalty there, Ben would have won the right-hand side. It was all about winning the windward end of that line and getting out to the right-hand side. Paul Goodison was giving us that information before the start about the right-hand side having more breeze than the left. And I think Prada absolutely nailed that start, drawed the penalty, and now INEOS have really got a tough job of trying to get back into this race.
Nathan, can you see any options on this leg for INEOS?
Well, the option for INEOS is really working out how they can get to the right-hand side of Luna Rossa. You know, the left, where they're heading right now, is a little bit softer. It's getting a bit more even. Unfortunately, I don't see big pressure changes or big shifts. I just see slightly more wind on the right-hand side than the left. So I suspect both boats are trying to want to get a left-hand turn at the bottom mark, come out into this pressure, and the only way that INEOS are going to get back into this one is if Prada actually give it to them, I think.
Goody, we're watching the data on the screen, and INEOS is actually coming into them a little bit here. Is that just they're sailing into lighter pressure on the Italian boat, or are they looking pretty quick?
Both boats are looking quite similar speed up at the moment. It just looks like INEOS are able to sail a click lower. They did a real nice job of exiting the dive at a slightly lower angle, and Prada just look like they're coming up to their line. It's going to be really interesting here again at the bottom mark. I think the right-hand side of the course has more pressure. It's going to be a real battle. Whoever gets further to the right of the other boat, I think, will make a gain each time.
Let's go on board INEOS Team UK. They are hunting Luna Rossa.
Boundary, little lighter on the way back, so pretty much a boundary jive here. Yep.
Nice, work that down a couple. Nice there.
The light spot coming.
Yeah, no lower than that for now.
Okay. Ley line.
Seconds set up.
12. My pitch.
Ready?
2, 1, all down. Turn it. He goes.
For INEOS, this is becoming far too familiar a sight, though, isn't it?
So approaching the bottom gate for the first time on board the hunted Luna Rossa.
Hi, my Trav. I'm okay, I see you. Okay, yours coming down.
Yep. One and in left.
Copy,
One and in, it seems pretty relaxed on Luna Rossa.
He's into our mark too, so we're good.
3, 2, 1.
Approaching the bottom gate for the first time to complete leg 2 of 6 in race 5 of the Prada Cup finals out on course number E. And it will be Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli in and around the bottom gate for the first time.
They were listening to Paul Goodison. Even though they were laying the gate, they actually did a jive to get off to the right-hand side of the course. Very interesting and well done.
Not too far behind our INEOS Team UK. It was 15 seconds at the top gate. It's 20 seconds at the bottom gate. Despite the fact we saw on that downwind leg, they had superior speed at one point.
Going to him. We go early on it.
Here.
Have to do struggling here big time.
Yeah. He's tacked. He's got a boundary there.
Main on. There we go, push coming on.
Pretty funky in here.
Copy.
They want the right-hand side of the race course. Actually, Goody, to dig this in beyond the line of the Italian boat means they're almost going to be in bad air. In fact, this might be a little bit of a professional over the line, over the boundary.
Get board. 22s, big on edge.
Yeah, it looks like a real tricky position here for INEOS. They went round the bottom mark, had the easier manoeuvre at the bottom with straight in, so they should have been able to try and live off the hit, but the Italians did a great job there of just holding high, putting Ben in a real tricky position, and now they've kind of got the lead, and I think it's going to be really difficult from here. Each time they have this super nice high mode that's making it really difficult for the boat behind. You can hear Ben with the frustration, just it's hard to live in such a tight lane off the back of them right now.
And Goody, these are big boats and it's pretty light winds. I mean, how big an area is the wind affected by the boat in front?
It's quite a big wind shadow. That it's strange because it's not like normal boats. The wind shadow goes almost directly behind you. And the most critical time is to build speed, to get up to your target numbers out of the tack, and as soon as you have a tight lane, you just hesitate to press a little bit, or you press into the dirty air, and life just gets so much harder so fast. A real tricky position for INEOS here.
Jimmy Spittle at the top right of your screen, one of the twin helms on Luna Rossa, the other being Francesco Bruni. You can see that beautiful bow cam. I've got to say, from a television perspective, that's one of the most beautiful shots. Just any of these boats with those bow cams giving us a clear indication of how quickly these AC-75s are flying. And Luna Rossa is flying. They're extending their lead on INEOS Team UK. And you can see there, beautiful with our virtual light, just gives you a classic indication of the race course itself that they have to maneuver within, and also the distances between the two. Nathan, what are the options for INEOS right now?
Well, they've definitely got to not be sailing in the bad area. You could see when they came around that bottom mark, they were right in the bad area, out of the bottom mark, and they tacked right in front of us in the camera boat by the waterline. And the thing that I could notice was that they had to build at a lower angle than Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. That could be partly due to the fact that they tacked in the bad air, like Paul Goodison was saying, but the fact that they're building at lower angles means they're just having to do extra distance. What they need to do to get into this race is to find some pressure that Jimmy Spittle and Francesco Bruni don't find, but I can just see that there's more pressure up the course, and so this lead boat keeps stretching further and further in front. And right now, from where I'm sitting, it's going to be a big mistake from Luna Rossa if they are to lose this race. I think they're looking very strong at the moment.
Combine that start, it's not too early to say he's becoming a master at this, coming back to the starting line in the that last 30-40 seconds, he's kind of had his way every time. You combine that with a little touch of wind speed, perfect wind speed for this Italian boat, 9-10 knots. These guys couldn't have written the script any better.
We just saw their heart rates flash up on the screen. Jimmy Spittle's heart rate was 79. I mean, when we talk about ice running through his veins, you would think they'd be a little bit more stressed.
Incredibly fit individual. We know he loves boxing. He's boxing on a daily basis in Auckland to maintain his fitness. And they say the fitter you get, the lower your heart rate can handle things, and you can handle pressure the whole 9 yards.
That's why ours is about 236. Is that why?
Mate, if it's 236, we're not even talking. I'm on my back as we see Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. The distance at around 600 meters on this third leg of 6 in race 5 of the Prada Cup final. All calm, all cool on Luna Rossa right now.
Goody, not much to say about this right now from the sky. I would imagine it's a pretty, it's kind of a little cruise in the park for the Italians at this stage, if there's such a thing to do in 40-knot foiling monohulls.
It just looks like the classic, the rich getting richer. You can see the Italians sailing into more pressure. It's going to be an interesting one here, whether they tack set or bear away jibe, but definitely this right-hand side looks like the place to be for better pressure right now.
About to complete the halfway stage of this 5th race in the 2021 Prada Cup Final Series. Once again, leading all the way, Luna Rossa going through that top gate. It was 20 seconds at the bottom mark. What is it this time? How big is the advantage now as they comfortably go around? It's going to stretch right out. You can see where INEOS Team UK are.
Still okay here,
Now
it's no
taking
rush.
back towards the gate.
No problem, Ronnie. Stand by.
Luna Rossa with a quite wave,
2,
and
1.
we'll see at the bottom mark.
What a stretch on this leg, and it's certainly, as Goody said, Shirley, the rich getting richer in this one, no question. A little more breeze at the top of the race course. You sail into it now. On the other side of things, the boat behind should be able to come into them a little bit on the run, but this is a serious stretch here.
Yep.
INEOS Team UK
Pressure looks slightly better out this side.
completing the halfway point of this 5th race. They get around this top gate and complete 3 legs. But that lead is really stretched out now, 58 seconds.
You know, the course is so narrow, isn't it? You're very, very limited in terms of options if you get behind, and particularly in the light winds, where, as Paul Goodison said, you know, there's such a lot of dirty air around the leading yacht.
A little softer in 10. Boundary 25 away.
We're just looking at their VMG here. The British boat is always, you know, a click or two better all the way down the downwind leg.
Yeah, more breeze at the top of the course, most likely. Maybe a quicker boat, but for sure it seems like they're not slow downwind, no question about it. Frustration level though, Cheryl. I mean, you could hear it on that first leg. It'll be really interesting. We'll go back and we'll talk to head umpire Richard Slater in between races when we kind of break this one down. But the fascinating part about electronic penalties and the ability for the judges who sit here in the booths and actually watch the race as we watch it, except much more digitally. They have incredible digital sensors all over these boats. But boy, in this race, you got to make a case that was it. That was the race course. Those decisions, those penalty decisions. Once you got behind, as we're seeing, it's hard to catch up.
Nice, boys.
And when you think about that start, while we are on board Luna Rossa, Bruni and Spittle had the bit between the teeth. They were basically, you could see it from a novice perspective. They were never going to give way.
But the beauty is they did what they practiced in the pre-start. They practiced a maneuver we had never really seen before. And like I said, if you're home in your 30-footer on your beer can series, to slow down before the start, you go head to win. But we've never seen that before because these guys are really, really careful about coming off the foils. They practiced a maneuver that I personally hadn't seen before, and it worked. And that's really what's won them the race so far.
Both teams have been out really long hours the last 3 days. And I said to Lee McMillan from INEOS, you know, have you done 1,000 pre-starts? He said, yeah, and you know, and the rest. You know, 1,000 pre-starts, 1,000 tacks. And for sure, the Italians have been perfecting that move.
Well, it just brings out the old practice makes perfect, doesn't it? And right now, they haven't put a foot wrong, Luna Rossa, as they approach the bottom gate to complete the 4th leg of 6. And as you can see, that gap has really, well, it hasn't blown out, it's just a big gap. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli with a 4-0 lead on INEOS Team UK. Bottom gate for the completion of the 4th leg in race 5 of the Prada Cup final. Again, smooth,
super in control here.
Subtle touchdown, and as Shirley has done on many occasions, kisses the water and just pops back up.
Paul Goodison up in the helicopter. So when you were competing against these guys, I guess I'm probably preaching to the choir, but it was pretty well known the Italian boat was as slippery as any of the 4 boats, and in fact could probably get out of the water at a slower speed. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, what we're seeing here, they're obviously sailing the boat incredibly well, but they also have a slightly more forgiving platform. They're able to touch and kiss and get out of the water nice and easily, and I think they're also sailing very well, but they have a bit of equipment that allows them to do that.
10 seconds out here. It's taking a little bit of depth.
INEOS Team UK approaching the completion of leg number 4 in Britannia.
Okay, up, two.
It's interesting to watch Sabine Ainsley cross that starboard side. There was a lack of urgency in the cross. It was almost casual saying, oh, well, that's what it is.
I was going to ask Nathan the same, that exact question. Nathan, I know these guys are all professionals, but they're humans at the same time. You think right now Ainsley's thinking about this race or the next race?
Well, it's a great question. As you say, you know, us sailors, we're all humans. We all have emotions. We try to keep the emotion out of the racing as much as we can, but you can hear the emotion and the frustration on that first upwind, and you can see the body language is. It's not in this race, unfortunately. They're too far behind, and you know, there'll be some thinking in the back of their heads right now. How are we going to beat this boat? You know, they did everything they could in that start, and they got the penalty. You know, like they won the windward end. They were both pushed both over. They're going to have to get creative in between races and find an avenue back into this one. And don't get me wrong, no one's writing them off right now. I reckon if they had held that start, not got that penalty, and actually took control of the race, we could be seeing a very different race. So for sure, heads aren't in this race right now for INEOS, and the coaching staff will be making some notes, and we're going to have a very interesting situation with a fascinating debrief, I think, between races. It would be amazing if we could hear the conversation that they're going to have, but they're going to come out fighting in the next one. Don't you worry about that.
Yes, but the hard thing here, Nathan, is that they dropped this race. You know, it's 0-5 for INEOS. A little bit of desperation is now starting to creep in, surely.
Well, Stephen, you're exactly right. They are running out of time. You know, I have no doubts these guys can win races in these conditions, but they're not doing it. And every race that goes by where they don't win the start and they don't convert the start into a win is a race that's getting closer and closer for 7 for the other team. And they're going to have 2 more opportunities. And, you know, margin for error is slowly disappearing. And it's going to be fireworks in the next one, I'm sure.
Surely it's no coincidence that we had races in the earlier rounds in the round robin series where we saw, and I think it was a record 9 passes. It's no coincidence as these boats get better, it becomes more predictable. The mistakes aren't being made. These are 0 pass races.
I think these guys are so confident in their platform. As Paul Goodison said, you know, it sort of somehow it's easy, isn't it? It's forgiving. And, you know, the more you know that about your boat, you know, the more relaxed you are, just putting it exactly where you want to put it. And with each race these guys win, they're just going to get more and more confident.
I wonder, because we found out that Francesco Bruni is left-handed, therefore when they chose which side of the boat, he wanted to do that little lever controller, the flight controller with his left hand. Can't really see that lever now, but anyway, he got on that side of the boat. But I think the genius was it allowed the aggressive spit hill to do that final approach in the start, right? I mean, what a difference that has made.
What do they call him? The bulldog? The pit bull.
The pit bull.
The pit bull. We got there in the end. I mean, Jimmy Spithill has made a career of being aggressive and accurate execution in the pre-start, and that was, wow, that was textbook.
Awesome. Off coming on now. Okay, slowly coming on.
Yeah.
It makes a wonderful sight on the Hauraki Gulf. The spectator, please, you look at our virtual eye bound, you're giving you a perfect view of what this course is and faces these boats every time. They're going to have to do it again in race number 6. And the challenger of record, well, there'll be a lot of smiles back at base right now because they haven't put a foot wrong. They were strong at the start and they are strong in the race. And they head to the top gate for the last time. 5 legs done for Luna Rossa, and they're heading on the homeward leg. And they will make it, barring tragedy, barring anything, they will go to a 5-0 lead in this Prada Cup final.
Should be able to see him in through the window.
Oh, you got him a little build here.
Yeah. Maybe driving here.
Stand by, boys, a little further.
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Build here, we should make it. 25s. Pressure coming on here.
Remember when these boats first came out of the sheds? They were up, they were down, they were up, they were down. A bucking bronco watching these boats go upwind. Now they're just smooth as silk. This is the, you know, this is the train I get from Newport to New York. You know, it's just on rails, and it's really incredible.
INEOS Team UK approaching the gates, the top gate, for the final time in race number 5. And there will be questions swirling through the heads of the coaching staff. Sir Ben Ainsley, Giles Scott, how do we get a start, win a start, and get one in the bag? Because as Nathan Outridge quite rightly said, we are running out of time. 1 minute and 19 seconds, they trail Luna Rossa as they head home in race 5.
Goody, as you approach this next start, these guys are going to have, they're going to come in on port tack, less maneuvers, and really be able to kind of call their time back to the starting line. Do you guys, as sailors, think of that as an inherent advantage, having that port tack? Yeah, that port tack line coming into the start, or not? How do you see that playing out?
It really depends on the breeze. In this lighter stuff, it's obviously one less maneuver, which means you're a lot more in control of your time and distance, and you can manipulate things. As the breeze increases, you'd much prefer to be the trailing boat, coming after the other guy and put him in under pressure. So I think in this lighter stuff, there's a potential advantage there. But what we're seeing Luna Rossa do really, really well is their time and distance. The way they managed to just manipulate the time and massage the time so that there was no room to the right of them at that last start was really impressive. And again, that comes down from some really nice software, and also being able to manage your boat really well and manage the speed and accelerate at the right time. So quite impressive what we're watching right now.
Paul Goodison up in the helicopter watching the racing with us today. Welcome to the team, and thank you for your comments.
Let's just go on board for a moment. Luna Rossa heading towards the finish in race 5 of the Prada Cup final.
We got one of them, boys.
They have again sailed flawlessly. Slick comes to mind, because they haven't put a foot wrong. They were tough at the start. They basically bullied in many ways in INEOS Team UK, and they have dominated from the get-go. If you go back over all 5 races, they haven't trailed once.
I like the onboard comments by Spithill straight to Richard Slater, saying, hey, how about that? Essentially saying that was a professional foul, man. You got to hit him again, and he hit him again.
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, the challenger of record, approaching the finish line in race number 5 of the Prada Cup final. They are now just 2 steps away from being the legitimate challenger for the America's Cup. This is a big moment. 5-0, and they have done it once again and left INEOS Team UK in their wake. But how relaxed are they? No celebrating, no, just get on with the job, slow it down, and get ready for the next one.
Well, they're confident, aren't they? I mean, they're confident in the boat, confident they can do exactly what they want with it, and, you know, they're fast in all directions, and that confidence, Stephen, is just building and building.
2 races is a long way to go still, though. You know, we've all been there before. It's still a lot, you know, on the British side, you're still thinking we can do this.
INEOS Team UK, they were quite simply the best team. The best team in the round-robin series after what happened pre-Christmas. You simply have to ask the question, and many watching around the world going, what has gone wrong? They are 0-5. No one would have picked that they would be trailing by 5 clear races in this Prada Cup final. But that is what they are doing. In come INEOS Team UK to complete race number 5.
Okay, I have to do another jibe to get set up here. Stand by. Okay, crossing.
And they are across the line.
Clear. Clear, Lewis. Ready.
1 minute and 20 seconds behind Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
Turning.
0-5. That's a hell of a mountain to climb.
I don't think you can blame it. They're not going to blame it on the tools, though. I guarantee it. They're getting outsailed, Shirley.
Yeah, it was all on the start, wasn't it? And they just never recovered from that. It was all about the execution at the start.
And that's what Sue Ben Ainsley said at the presser after they were down 4-0. We've got to sail better. We have to sail better. Confirmation, race 5 of the 2021 Prada Cup final, and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Perfect, yet again, 5-0 and a 1 minute and 20-second win.
So as we went into this one, we were expecting some fireworks. Actually, we made a good case of some boats having fireworks, others not. Well, guess what? We saw fireworks. We saw really almost on the verge of a controversial yet perfectly executed pre-start by the Italians, forcing Ainsley to stuff it into a position that he did not have rights, as chief umpire Richard Slater and his team decided. I mean, nasty. These guys are going 40 knots. You got the foil underwater of INEOS came close to the rudder of the Prada boat. It is, it's all on, and these guys are ripping these boats around. Penalty to UK, but they don't burn it off in these first 2 tacks. They come back, and it's determined that they actually got to the correct side of the race course while burning off with their penalty and made an advantage out of it. So guess what? The umpires can then go back and give them a second penalty. So that's probably the confusing thing at home. Why did they get a second penalty? They got pushed through a foul to the correct side of the race course and came back ahead. They had to do their second penalty and got behind, and surely once you get behind on this race course against this slick boat, I don't know if you're going to get by them.
Well, at gate 1 there, they were still relatively close, but the gap just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And in this narrow racetrack with only really one way to go, it was so right-hand dominant. The gap just kept on growing.
Just out for a cruise at this stage. This boat, as all of us have commented, has gotten so smooth from their boat handling standpoint. Forget their boat speed. They are the full package right now and go across the finish line really with an incredibly dominant win. And Stephen, we expected this to be a really close series. In fact, all of us called it as a split decision. We didn't know who was going to win this series. Man, were we wrong to this date.
We were predicting this would be one of the tightest Prada Cup finals, the Challenger finals in the history of the America's Cup. It has proven not to be, and this boat that you see in front of you, Luna Rossa, is absolutely dominating. Dominating is the word. Let us go on board Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Francesco Bruni, there should be half a smile on your face. You're 5-0, and Paul Goodison said, and we are seeing it, your time and distance to the start is bang on.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, it's been a fantastic race, but obviously Jimmy did most of the job on that time on distance, and he did very well. As I said, textbook for me. The whole team is playing very well. The boat is in good shape. We are very focused, and we have to keep doing our job. We will have some dark moments, but we just need to stay focused and think race by race.
Keko, we saw you guys, as you were approaching the starting line, we saw you pull a maneuver that was really, really well done. It was almost high and slow. Like any normal monohull back at home, it would be you just stop the boat by luffing head to wind. High and slow, but didn't come off the foils. You closed them out. It was really well done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, obviously there is a very fine line between staying high and slow and staying too high and slow. And that's when you fall off the foils. So, I mean, we did a good job. Jimmy really kept the boat on the edge, and he did a fantastic job.
Francesco, I think you've been out of Italy and in New Zealand for too long. You win another race, you're 5-0 up, and not even a hint of a celebration when you cross that line. What's going on board?
Yeah, you're right. We've been in New Zealand for too long. There are things that you need to learn from the Kiwis, and probably this is one of them. Yeah, no high fives yet.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Francesco, surely, you know, you're two wins away. You're 2 wins away from challenging for the Emirates Cup. Surely there must be a tiny bit of excitement in the bottom of your gut.
No. Honestly, I just need to stay focused on the next race. That's all I have to think of. Just the next race.
Nice response. Grazie Emilia. We'll talk to you after the next race.
Grazie. Grazie, ragazze. Grazie.
Let us now go on board to INEOS Team UK. Sir Ben Ainsley waiting to have a brief chat, I can imagine right now. Where to from now, Ben?
Yeah, well, we just got to keep plugging away. I mean, it's tough. We're obviously struggling in terms of straight line performance, so we've got to push it hard to try and make something happen. And yeah, we a pretty close start. Yeah, I guess we obviously just fouled out. Must have been pretty close, and we got the first cross, but they were just sailing away from us with extra speed upwind, so pretty tough.
Ben, after you guys came out of that right-hand corner off the starting line after burning off the first penalty, were you, because of the position you came out against Luna Rossa, were you kind of thinking in the back of your mind you might get another one, or do you think you were clean and ready to go?
It's up, you know, it's in the hands of the umpires. I don't know about the incident. I obviously haven't seen it back. I imagine it was pretty close. But we obviously really wanted the right-hand side for the pressure, so knowing that we were probably going to be off the pace straight line performance was worth taking a risk. I'd probably do the same thing again.
All right, Ben, thanks for your time. We'll give you a chance to reset for race number 6. Thanks as always.
Thanks.
Let's look at the numbers now, Kenny, from race number 5 of the Prada Cup final. And does it tell us anything that we don't already know?
Well, upwind speed, very, very similar. Downwind speed, a little edge to the Italians. It's actually interesting. We thought it's funny how pictures do lie sometimes, Shirley. We thought we saw just the opposite. That's a pretty fair chunk of downwind speed performance. And then look at the distance sailed, almost 1,000 meters shorter. A lot of that was those high modes that we keep seeing the Prada boat have.
I think on that downwind speed, Kenny, Britain seemed to have, you know, a touch of VMG. They were sailing closer to where they were going, but as you say, Italy just a slight speed advantage.
All right, let's look at the key moment now, because this was critical in race 5.
This will be debated for quite a long time, and let's go right straight to Richard Slater, who's the chief umpire. Richard, why don't you take us through this?
Sure. We had 3 things happening at once with this start. We had both boats OCS, but we had GBR. I put it more than close. We had not only the keep clear boundaries overlapping, we had the keep clear boundary overlapping the actual boat. So they really barged into the start line when they had no room. The outcome we're looking for then is that the GBR needs to be behind, and with the penalties clearing off with the OCSs, we saw that they were still ahead, hence why we give a penalty for a boat that's gained after taking into account the penalty.
So were you, after they tacked away to the right-hand side of the race course, we see the Brits tacking away. Were you immediately talking about the potential of a second penalty?
Yeah, you start talking about the penalty. Initially, it's the first one that gets us is the fact that they've gone into that situation. They've barged into it at the top of the line. We didn't have a chance, to be honest with you, to replay it in real time, but we then were looking at the fact that they were ahead. And that was the big thing. The other thing that was interesting with this is the penalty line is based on the wind of Luna Rossa. So with the right-hand shift, the line that they had to get behind is based on that wind, not on the course axis.
Amazing. It's just amazing that for all sailors watching this around the world, we have all barged. So we can all relate to exactly what that situation is with INEOS. We've never barged surely at 40 knots, but we have barged before.
and our thanks to Chief Umpire Richard Slater for explaining the key moment in race 5, which has seen Luna Rossa take another win.
In any sport we play, it's crucial to know the rules of the game. Even the slightest overlap can give a team a huge advantage, especially in the countdown to the start. In this case, yellow has managed to get its bow overlapped on blue's stern. It's a really aggressive move. They can force blue away from the start line, putting them in complete control. We call it a hook. It's one of the most effective moves in the pre-start. And as you can see, blue is dead in the water and yellow is already racing away.
So on the back of that 0-5 result, it's time to lance the ball, they say, into 170 years of hurt and bring the old mug home. But that's INEOS Team UK's mantra. The Brits got off to a shaky start in the World Series, but flight controller Lee McMillan never, ever lost faith in Britannia.
I think it was absolutely awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute beast. The amount of brain power that's gone into this thing and continues to go into this boat to make it perform at its optimum potential is mind-blowing. It is fantastic when the America's Cup really makes those big bounds to do new things. Forcing sailors and designers to really think outside the box is what makes it so special. I'm the pilot or the flight controller on the boat, so I'm basically responsible for keeping the boat out of the water, controlling the foils, and having that kind of instinct and that intuition of how the boat is kind of performing and what it's going to do next at any given time. Working very closely with the helm and the main trimmers and the other trimmers on the boat to make sure that you're all kind of in unison is going to be a big part of this America's Cup.
Real funky here.
The thing about sailing is, perfection is never there. It's because it's always changing. You're dealing with changing winds, changing sea states, so you've got to adapt at all times. And so having a group of guys that can do that is critical, and that's what's exciting about this kind of challenge.
Look at that, 50 to 400 in no time. Really disappointing for the Brits.
We knew from a long way out that we were on the back foot in Bermuda. What was incredibly kind of impressive about what we actually got out of that was the fact that no matter how big the gap was, we never gave up on actually breaking that down. And we went into the America's Cup on day one and we started beating teams that we hadn't beaten in the 8 months building up to that.
Nice work, guys. Awesome race. Turning up.
We'd actually made massive gains forward, and that was just down to the absolute determination of everyone involved in that team. It was exhausting for everyone, there's no doubt about that, but it allowed us to kind of really see how hard we could all push ourselves to make sure that we didn't just give up. So it was invaluable having that experience and knowing that's where we've got to go to have a chance of delivering success.
That was a nice looking tack, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm incredibly patriotic, so for me it's a huge drive behind the flag and this competition that started around the island I grew up on. It's been kind of in the back of my mind really for as long as I can remember, the history behind the Cup and kind of following it over the years. So going to New Zealand and kind of trying to win that Cup for Queen and Country is a great honour. So incredibly driven to deliver.
INEOS flight controller Lee McMillan talk about having faith, and they want to win for Queen and Country, but that challenge is getting larger and larger. They are down by 5 races, yet to record their first. Kenny Reid, I just want briefly, Ben Ainsley said we're lacking speed somewhere. What do they do?
Well, I was surprised at that, frankly. I think they're getting outsailed right now. I think Prada in tough spots is putting them away when they have the chance every single time right now.
That is a concern. That is a major concern heading into race 6 of the Prada Cup final 2021, because if they drop another race in INEOS Team UK, that mountain is starting to look like Mount Everest. In 170 years, the USA has won the America's Cup 28 times. New Zealand has won it 3 times. Switzerland has won it once. Italy has yet to get off the mark. Umberto Molinari's and Jacopo Plazzi are hoping to change that. they share a very special bond, and for as long as they can remember, they've dreamt of winning the old mug.
For me, being here is like a dream coming true, because loving sailing almost because of Luna Rossa. I started sailing at 10, 11 years old, and it was exactly the same time when Luna Rossa was starting campaigning for the America's Cup. So for me, being here with Luna Rossa, it's really a dream that come true.
Luna Rossa wins the final of the Louis Vuitton Cup 2000.
More than dreamed, I always wanted to be part of it. I've been watching it, I've been following it since a kid, because my father and my uncle were both in the America's Cup. My uncle was on board as navigator. And yeah, the opportunity came in the end, and lucky enough to be here.
Being here with Jacopo is one of my best and oldest friends. We grew up together. We spent almost 10 years racing together in the 49er. We're literally brothers from a different mother. And so starting this new adventure and being here with him is something really, really special.
We are brothers in the end, because we literally live next door since we were kids. My door is 34 on the street and he's 36, so it's don't need a bike to go from one to the other. We failed together, we won together, we worked a lot together. So yeah, definitely proudness.
I'm lucky to do this adventure with Jacopo, and that's mean a lot for our family too.
Heads are up in the Luna Rossa camp. The belief looks to be back.
I'm very happy that we are here all together, because we're going through another challenge. It's a big challenge, but we know each other and we want to win this challenge together.
Yeah, Luna Rossa are definitely looking class act upwind at the moment. Higher than the other boat, sailing their own race. It looks like they're going to lay this top marquee quite nicely, and they're just going to run away with this one.
Yes, winning the cup means a lot to me and to the team. I think everyone should dream about it. I think it's a big motivation to push every day and to work hard every day. And I think dreaming about it, it's what can push us more to get there.
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli have just guaranteed themselves a spot in the Prada Cup final. .11 minutes and 34 seconds and counting towards race number 6 of the Prada Cup final. Can that boat, that team, get themselves a very first win, give themselves some hope to get back into us? What is going through the mind of Subi and Ainsley? It probably might be one word: win. And you know, it's well documented since losing the Cup in 1851, the island nation of Great Britain has never, ever won it back. There have been attempts, but the current British challenger is backed by an entrepreneur with a love of sport and a very realistic outlook on the complexities involved in returning the Cup back to British soil.
I mean, it's 170 years of history and pain, of course, because we've tried many, many times. We've just not been well prepared enough, well organised enough. But we've certainly got the sailors. I mean, we've got some fantastic sailors in the UK, we always have. But we haven't had the boat that could win. It was pure accident, really, that I met Ben Ainsley. I met him for a drink in London 2 or 3 years ago. It turned out to be a very expensive drink. We got on quite well, and of course, you know, naturally the conversation steered towards the America's Cup, and I got sort of dragged into it. There are 3 of us who run and own INEOS. We're all from the north of England, and we're sort of just all normal blokes who like sport. This sort of sporting collection that we've got, apart from the fact that we believe that there are crossover and there are benefits from having a mixture of sports and a mixture of disciplines, because at the end of the day you're sort of looking at similar things, you know, attention to detail, rigor, grip, all those types of things. But we're all moving on in life, and we've worked pretty hard, we've been successful, so in a way, why shouldn't we do something that we enjoy? You know, it's been a really engaging time this last 2 or 3 years, because you do spend a lot of time and you get very involved in these sports, you know, as we have with the America's Cup. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, I have to say. The racing has been so exciting. I think irrespective of what happens in the rest of the Cup, you know, that round robin was an amazing event to watch and be present at, you know, because it was such a turnaround in our fortunes. And the boat obviously was chalk and cheese compared to the boat that was sailed at Christmas, because we, you know, the guys had worked 24/7 for about 3 weeks to get it into shape. So I was really proud of the team.
Come on, boys! All right, guys, calm down. It's good.
INEOS Team UK go through to the Prada Cup final.
The America's Cup should be the pinnacle of sailing. And I think this new class of boat is the perfect model for the future. This formula we've got at the moment is a really exciting formula. So I think that America's Cup, if it sticks with it, has got a great future. It needs to be, in my view, a level playing field. It's not a level playing field at the moment. There's too much advantage goes to the defender and the challenger. So I'd like to be involved in the future, but you know, there has to be a sort of a consensus of the people who are involved in it, which I believe there is actually, that we sort of drive generally in that sort of direction.
In any sport we play, it's crucial to know the rules of the game. A classic match racing move is the tack and pin. One boat crosses the bow of their opponent and then immediately tacks on top of them. In this case, yellow has done so, and if blue doesn't react immediately, they become trapped, unable to maneuver until their opponent does so first. Done properly, you have complete control of the race course and dictate your opponent's next move.
Counting down towards race number 6 of the Prada Cup final 2021, Subin Ainsley and crew looking for their very first win. They need it. Let's update the crew and see how it shakes down. Shirley?
What can you say about the British team? I mean, they've got the experience across the board. The grinders, flight controllers, sail trim. It's a good package, and they seem to trust the hardware. But in 5 out of 5 races, they've been outsailed. I know I keep suggesting a comeback, but Ben Ainsley's the most competitive sailor I know. He really won't like this scoreline. Can they get back into it? Well, I can't see a reason why not, but I'd never have guessed at this scoreline either.
And there you have Luna Rossa, the dominant team in this Prada Cup final, sitting with a 5-0 lead on INEOS Team UK. Let's take a look at the crew.
Well, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli is slick, easily driven in the lighter air, and most importantly, they're sailing better. All the teams at this level have really figured these platforms out, so at some stage the pendulum swings back to the sailors, and in this case the Italian outfit is clearly winning. Spithill v. Ainsley in the pre-starts, no contest right now. Calm, cool, and collected. Anyone with any appreciation for great sailing has to be very impressed at how these guys are getting around the track.
Game on. Race 6 of the Prada Cup final. INEOS Team UK port entry. Rossa Prada Pirelli with starboard entry. What have INEOS Team UK got to do?
Yeah, they got to just shake it off somehow, and that was a big blow. Maybe go out to Nathan. You know, Nathan, these are tough spots, and that was I think that was a big blow. I haven't seen body language from our friend Ben Ainsley like that, maybe ever. That was a big one.
Yeah, Ken, you're right. That was a big mental blow, I think, that race. You could see the body language. You could see the way he was responding to the interviews. And for sure, he's got to dig himself out of this hole. It's a tough position that he's in at the moment.
Okay, working down here, let's.
This is the race committee. The wind sampling period is complete, and this race is live.
Nathan, back to
I was also going to...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, right now there's very different attitudes on the two boats out here right now. We've been going back and forward between the two camps. Prada took the jib down. They were looking at the weather. They put the exact same jib back up. There was a lot of chat, a lot of focus. You go over to INEOS, the jib didn't come off the lock. It stayed there. I've been chatting with Paul Goodison between races. He and I both have been talking about why they haven't changed. Paul Goodison believes that the 1.5, the smaller jib, is the right jib so long as you can foil. But if you can't take off, you need to go for that bigger jib. And INEOS actually towed up onto the foil to get going just a second ago, whereas Prada just right now trimming on and taking off as we speak. So maybe INEOS still don't think it's windy enough to go down a jib size, but for sure it's all about this start, if you ask me. If Ben Ainsley can win the start, and if he can take control of the race, he's going to have a fighting chance, because clearly right now his boat doesn't look as fast as the competitors, and so he's got to get in front. He hasn't won a start yet. If he wins a start, we're going to find out if that boat is quick enough to keep the other one behind.
And Goody, how does the race course look from Bree's standpoint? Does it look like that right side is still favored? Have we gotten enough, any more pressure?
I think there's a little bit more pressure at the top. That's a little bit more even, but I still think the right's probably favoured, but less of a difference side to side. If you look down now, you see Emirates Team New Zealand off to the left of the course, sailing around on a J2. So there's good pressure down there.
He's on time then.
INEOS Team UK with port entry for this 6th race of the Prada Cup final. They come in just a little bit, well, 2 minutes and 5 seconds, but in come Rossa Prada Pirelli from the starboard side, and let the games begin again. INEOS Team UK need to win a start. So Ben Ainsley keeps talking about sailing better. The time is now.
3, 2, 1, ball down. Yep. He jives. He'll get just outside our line.
I think Ben will prefer this. The first in the box, you make the decision when you turn back. You're much more in control of your strategy and your timing.
That's starboard lay there. Got me. 1:30, killing 1 minute. Boundary 16 away. Coming up. 14 quickest, 14 away. 12 away. Okay, working down here, driving, port down. Yeah, board's going down.
Here's that moment of truth right now.
Coming up here.
Soaking now.
What's the fate?
Line is 12. The starboard
This says that the Italian group thinks that they're going back too early. They decide to shift high. Watch out for that boundary.
Just going to check him on line line. Take going board. Yeah. My pitch. I'm over here. 20.
Visualizer.
Okay, killing 21 knots here.
Too slow here. Jack speed, boys. That's the speed. Speed.
Killing 16.
He's on committee line. He's on committee line.
We're going to do one down there.
Yes.
Complete role reversal of that first start right now.
Killing
time and distance for Ainsley. Can he shut the other boat out?
Coming down now.
They're watching it here. You got eyes on him, killing 10.
Yeah. Big down now.
Yep. Killing.
Coming up hard. Up.
10.
Up hard. One more. Easy.
5. He goes again.
Hold that. That's good. Racing.
He cannot shut
it. All the way up. He's going to be straight up.
15 seconds. Ainsley could finally have his control off the starting line.
Yep.
Killing 2.
You on the line. You on the line.
Charge.
10, 9, 8, 6,
We are
5.
Big gap between the two right now, though, Shirley. Might have let him off the hook a little bit.
Race 6 of the Prada Cup final between Rossa Prada Pirelli and INEOS Team UK. Clean start, game on.
We've seen the boat on the left side, on the high side of the screen, have advantage here because they get to tack when they get into this boundary. They have boundary abilities to go onto port tack. This is the crucial moment. That first cross is the crucial moment of the race.
We see the British boat squeezing up, closing that gap. They've done well here, the British boat.
They went early on Prada. They didn't even push them into that boundary limit. Nathan, they showed pretty good height right there, the Brits did, and able to kind of shake these guys off early.
Yeah, Kenny, exactly right. That was a really good start by INEOS Team UK. Defended the leeward end of the line nicely. I think it's all going to come down when they come back together again. Who makes the cross here? INEOS need to make the cross. They'll be on port tack when they come back together. If Luna Rossa get a piece of them and get them on starboard tack, then I fear we see the same result. But if INEOS make the cross, we could have a race on here, guys.
This is the drag race across the racetrack, Shirley. This is the drag race for control. This is it right now.
Still on port. Good speed.
Remember, we're liking the right-hand side of the course. So we just need to watch out for that. Well, let's watch the Italian pace.
Goody, what do you think? Right side again? What are you liking out there? How are these two boats going to come back together? What's your call?
Can out, maybe a touch, I don't know.
Looks like the Italians are making it's the whole way across here on port. They're just a little higher at similar speed. So I think now they've tacked, it's going to be very marginal cross for INEOS. I think they're in a good position here to lead bow underneath and lead them back across.
It will be hard for him to lead bow.
Force down.
He's lead bowing.
That's clear. Okay, get board. Okay, we're looking to slowly trim up. 2 builds, 24s. This line.
First cross to INEOS. Haven't said that in a long time, Shirley.
Options for the lay line, back the other way.
Okay,
breeze is slightly in the left here.
Moving on. Okay, speed's getting there.
What do you reckon at the top upwind here, Ben?
Surprise, Ben has
all right on the left, just
like
all right.
Still better on the right-hand side here. I'm surprised they're allowing such a big split. Have to go full lead into the last intersection.
On boundary, I
suppose. It's off the patch here, then pressure back.
Big split.
He won't get delayed.
Big split.
Okay, pressure building in 5.
I'm with Goody on this one. I'm surprised they hung it out there all the way to the other side of the race.
My runner. My trap.
Do you think there's a slight nervousness about it, speed and tacks and manoeuvrability on the British boat, Kenny?
There's something about learning how to, and I know I'm talking about the greatest Olympic athlete in sailing history, but they haven't won a race in a while. Sometimes you kind of get out of your own comfort zone.
we are still on the same
Let's head on board Luna Rossa. Potentially for the first time in this whole Prada Cup final series, they're trailing.
This looks like pressure, best pressure is top left right now.
Copy.
Another close cross coming.
A little pressure coming back in.
He's coming to intersection, same as before.
He's probably on lay, is he?
I don't think so. No, that's a negative.
Right here.
On the edge.
Taking some height. Coming up here.
Yeah, just across.
We have to just follow him here.
Yeah. No problem.
Nice work. Stand by. 3,
Good pressure after
2,
him.
1.
Good call, Giles Scott.
I think we've got to
No problem. The best comment there was no problem. 40 knots coming at each other. No sweat. We got this.
And here's a small moment that will make the team on INEOS Team UK feel so much better. For the first time in this Prada Cup series, they head through the top gate, leading Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
5. Yeah. Steer down. 3, 2, 1. Clear.
Around go Luna Rossa, 8 seconds behind.
And trimming.
Okay, Michael, if you want.
Yes, cross.
So good pressure. Go all
He's
the way.
going live. He's going live. Thinking about going here. 3,
we
2,
can
1.
go.
Board down.
Here we go. Okay, my runner. Okay. 29s. Okay, 30s, building here. Nice pressure from us. Good angle for build. 32s. 34s. Got a little bit of pressure up there.
Nathan, we look at the race course here, and we still notice that these guys have their biggest jib up, the J1, and on the Italian boat, they have a smaller jib up. Still, pretty big difference between sail plans right now, isn't it?
37s.
Yeah, you're right, Ken. There is a difference, and we were all thinking that bigger jib was holding him back, but there was no holding him back on that upwind. They obviously sniffed out something out of the left to make that cross at the top, and now we have roles reversal in this race. We've now got INEOS in front for the first time, and the question is, are they going to slowly get away? Is the lead boat got such an advantage? Or is Prada fast enough, and are they going to get back into this race? It's looking pretty stable out here in terms of pressure, so it could be a bit of a boat speed race from now.
Stable from side to side, Paul? Well, what are you thinking from way up high?
The pressure looks more even side to side, but it's still ever so streaky. I think you heard the commentary there from the Italian boat, from Keko, saying they're going light in front. Now's a good time. And I think that's what it's all about. It's just trying to drive before you get light. Doing your driving, more pressure. There's a big BMG gain than waiting until you get light and then driving in the lighter stuff. But we have a great race on here. I can't wait to see how this unfolds.
We have seen a general increase in pressure, and it's up to 12.5, 13 knots now at the bottom of the course.
My rudder, my trap, yeah.
Leg 2 of 6 in the 6th race of the Prada Cup final. And it's INEOS Team UK who quite simply need a win to stay in this Prada Cup final. They do not want to be going into the shed tonight with no wins and 0-6. Are we seeing the start of something? Long way to go yet. They hold the lead on Luna Rossa right now.
Sailing confidently, also you can make a case, surely, that they're sailing like a boat that doesn't think it can maneuver as well as the other boat, right? Not, they're ahead, but they don't mind legging out to the other side of the race course. So it's funny, it's kind of an interesting philosophy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, that initial tack they did on the boundary on that upwind, they looked slow, and I think since then there's been a lot of dialogue between Ben and Giles about pressure and which side, and a lot more sailing your own race, sailing the course, sailing what you've got, rather than being super aggressive on your opponent.
On average, copy.
Guys, probably
okay, 10 seconds out here. My pitch.
2, 1.
INEOS Team UK at the bottom leg for the first time, the bottom gate. And if you're watching this in the middle of the night in the UK, you will be pretty happy about this. Don't fall off your seat. Don't spill your cuppa. But INEOS Team UK in race 6 are leading Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Are they on the 3rd leg, on their way to their first win of the Prada Cup final? Only time will tell.
My rudder.
Aggressive maneuver at that bottom mark there, Nathan. I thought the Brits did a nice job setting. The Brits did a nice job setting up the Italians to round the same mark, but it was a tricky little, beautiful move. Showed just how maneuverable that boat really is.
Yeah, I think INEOS did a great job of making sure Prada followed him around, but then Prada instantly straight to get out of phase. As Paul Goodison was saying, it's a little bit streaky out here, and if you're the lead boat, you wouldn't want to allow too much leverage right now. So INEOS rolled straight into attack. I expect when they come back together here, INEOS is going to start to shut this race down. It'll be a face tack in the next one, and then they'll be trying to push them up the left-hand boundary, I suspect.
Yeah, I'm sure it's all going to be about protecting the right, so you be tight on port, so try and force the Italians back to the left-hand side of the course, and holding a loose cover on starboard, so you're always staying to the right of them. It always looks like INEOS have got more pressure at the moment as they go across here, so I'm expecting an attack straight in front of their line here.
Setting up, that's crossing. Not long. In. Ready? 5, 3, 2, 1.
Take shot maybe here. Big righty.
Big righty, yeah.
Big righty as reported by Francesco Bruni. which means a right-hand shift, which, like our
3, 2, 1,
commentators out on the water call, definitely always favors the boat to the right, which would have been INEOS, and INEOS did it. You know, Shirley, it seems to me when you and I call that the boat's going to tack on another boat, they never do, but Goodison's here for 5 minutes, and he nailed that one.
Come with us, good for us. Okay.
INEOS Team UK holding steady on this
55.
third leg upwind.
Out of this pressure.
Rossa Prada Pirelli not really able to chip into that lead at the moment, which has been sitting around 200, 240 metres on leg number 3, the halfway mark of this 6th race. Confidence will be building on the INEOS Team UK boat.
5, 2, 1. Now.
Boards down.
Your pitch. Take on board. Yeah.
3 is on here, boys.
Yes.
3 is on. Stand by. 3.
Pressure on the left.
2, 1.
Got options delay line here, Ben.
Yeah.
7s. I think we go all the way to lay left turn.
Luna Rossa happy to just keep tacking. I mean, they're so manoeuvrable.
Nice round.
A good pressure on 5.
Pressure increasing, yeah.
What's really interesting, Sheila, is listening to the talk between Giles Scott and Sabine Ainsley. Confidence is a little bit up. Chance just got a little bit more real.
Yeah, nice there, good numbers.
Different when you're leading, right?
They have something to talk about. They actually have a choice to be made. The other boat, when the boat's ahead, is dictating your tactics. There's really not a whole lot to talk about.
Also, Stephen, it's still really close. There's a lot of decisions to be made.
Yes, well, there was a part of that leg where Luna Rossa was starting to eat into that lead, but again, INEOS Team UK finding the wind, finding the shifts, and just holding that comfortable 220, 240 metre lead.
Lane line 15 out.
Yeah, it's okay.
Seems like that was a really nice ball by INEOS there, just to carry on to the right into this more pressure.
Building a
and in the end, Prada ended up doing 2 more tacks, and in this lighter breeze, the tacks are quite costly, so I think we'll see a little bit here.
2, 1, down. Turning.
Okay, go board. High pitch.
Okay,
High wheel. High
The left here.
Okay, 6s.
Might struggle a little here.
Yeah, just going to have to speed pressure
Down. 5.
Okay, taking a little bit of height now.
Yep. Working up.
Can they lay on the way in here? It looks like
there's pressure on the left mark, so
lay line. They have nice control of this racetrack right now
jive out this left turn.
on the INEOS boat.
It does look lighter if we extend.
Little light spot coming here now, no pressure back.
It'll be a
It's amazing how they're moving these travelers now, Shirley. The aggressiveness of the travelers are almost steering the boats with the travelers.
INEOS Team UK at the top gate, complete the halfway mark of the 6th race, excuse me, as they round the mark and head down for leg number 4.
Good angle.
Where is Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli? Have they gained any ground? They were 21 seconds behind at the bottom gate.
Better inside here, Ben, General.
And they've made up some time. Not a lot, but they've made up some time. 18 seconds.
We match him. Getting light here. Pressure's better inside.
Want to jive?
I think so, yeah.
Stand by.
Ready?
Okay. 40. Lefty. Pressure.
Board.
Ride this out.
Yeah.
That's it.
I will.
Okay. Go higher than that. Okay, 29s.
He's going straight.
Yeah, copy.
Actually,
He'll be rebuilding it on
quite soft on the other side.
Go straight,
Nice
huh?
to him underneath.
Yeah, we go a little this way then. Do you want to have a look, Pietro, my truck?
Yeah, yeah.
Onboard
Same
commentary on
pressure.
Luna Rossa. Pietro Sabello taking a look for the breeze. He's really, especially downwind, Shirley, he's become a much more aggressive part of the afterguard. Tactical decisions.
Very experienced 49er sailor from the Olympic circuit, and as this event has gone on, he's become way more vocal, way more useful on board.
The deeper we head into this race, the more confident INEOS Team UK and Britannia looks to potentially bag their first win of this Prada Cup final series. Ben Ainsley has been going on about saying we must sail better. Clean start by both. It was always suggested by Nathan Aldridge on our Chase Boat 1. If they can get a good start, then it's a race and a half. Well, it's becoming more than a race and a half. This could be 1 point in the bag for INEOS Team UK.
INEOS are tramping away, aren't they, on this leg? I think they got extra wind, good angle. Goodness, they've nearly doubled the lead.
My wheel forward, my pitch.
Okay, 30s.
Something about that slippery Italian boat, you know, just how it goes through the water, how it glides. I don't know. If I were on this boat, I would still be fearful. This is still Luna Rossa conditions. Let's call it that way. This lighter air.
Even with a lead like that?
Oh, no, hey, don't get me wrong. This is dominant right now, but still, those guys behind, they're not, I keep saying it, they're not slow. Seems like the obvious.
Cracking shot of virtual eye looking at your course number E on the Hauraki Golf Waitemata Harbour of the Maraitai Beachlands course, which actually wasn't one of the favoured courses at the beginning of this whole series. That would have been course C. But because of restrictions, we're out on course the back paddock. Well, the back paddock right now is doing okay for INEOS Team UK. They like to muck it in.
Oh, you're here. Okay, perfect. Good pressure coming now.
Such a lot of pressure in this race for the British outfit. They had to deliver in the start.
Pressure, both mental pressure and Goody, it looks like physical pressure. Nice pressure out there in the race course, breeze-wise.
Yeah, no, the breeze looks to be up just a click at the moment, which I think the big difference between the teams at the moment is that the British guys are managing to exit their drives just a little lower, and it seems to be a little nicer, but then I think some of that's coming into the gym, and it'd be interesting to see what Prada do here.
INEOS Team UK complete 4 legs of 6 in race 6. And they have stretched the lead. That's right, we're talking about INEOS Team UK stretching the lead on Luna Rossa, who have been so dominant in this Prada Cup final series. How the worm can turn.
Just normal rounding to right into
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
Hey boys, normal turn up.
About to complete leg 4 of 6. It was 18 seconds at the top gate, 32 seconds at the bottom gate.
Up. Max is more fun, Sean.
It's amazing how much faster you look and feel when you're ahead, Shirley. I mean, these things sound like obvious comments, but INEOS, the whole package just looks better this race. I mean, it looks more crisp, it looks under control, the communication on board is better. What a concept.
Well, you have to ask the question, because we keep saying, why, after dominating the round robin series, did they fall to 0-5? And I keep asking the question of you guys, had they maxed the performance of the boat out? And you keep coming back to me quite right and saying, hang on a minute, pal, it's about the sailors and people doing the job on their boat.
Well, they do things in chunks, obviously. They went 0-5 in the Christmas series. Sorry, 0-6 in the Christmas series before then winning the entire round robin. Now they're back to 0-5, so maybe, hey, maybe this is just how they do things, you know?
You think Subinese likes that? I would say no.
Shirley's been saying all along,
not his MO.
He likes getting behind early and making great comebacks, right?
He's renowned for it. He's absolutely renowned for it.
So I think any time from...
What do you want to go here?
Yeah, any time from here. I think.
Okay, setting up.
Crossing. My pitch. Yeah. Ready.
One board's down.
On it.
Pressure is generally down.
We're hearing that high level of trust between Ben Ainsley's tactician Giles Scott. We got so used to hearing back in the round robins.
Copy. No look tack, legs.
Copy that.
Is he still on port?
He's still on port. Board down, set up.
Port down.
Turning.
Luna Rossa's come back into him a little bit on this leg here so far. And Goody, you think this is a wind strength thing? Because I heard Ainsley say that breeze seems to be dropping a little bit.
It's hard to tell from up here. It looks very similar, the breeze, to what it was earlier. I think as we talked about the jib sizes earlier, the bigger jib obviously is a little slower through the tacks and a little better to exit the drive slow. And I think what we saw on the last run, them stretch out a little bit, was a lot to do with the driving. And I think the more they tack upwind here, the more we're likely to see the smaller jib, just a little bit less drag through the tacks, make the gain and slowly creep back into this. There's going to be plenty more racing here, and I expect to see Luna Rossa just try and engage and get some more tacks in here.
So we are not done in race number 6. The lead has been sitting at around 240 and 270 metres between these two boats. Look at it now, it's at 140, 30 and counting down. So, wow, this next cross.
Looks like a left-hand shift out there right now, though. Nathan, what do you think?
Yeah, just us in the lay line, I think. Copy. No problem with him.
Didn't hit him on the first encounter, they hit him on the second one, and I guess that was because they wanted to get to the left of them to pick up this left shift that's come across the course. It also means they're going to make the top mark with one more tack to go. So Luna Rossa there have just made their tack. They've got another one to go. INEOS are going to make lay line.
A little more pressure coming on.
I think they're going to go all the way to lay line here as opposed to hitting them.
Slow trim
and
on,
they're
boys.
just sort of selling the wind a little bit more than the competitor at the moment. Little gain for Luna Rossa, as you can hear Jimmy Spittle say there, but I think INEOS still have a big enough lead, a comfortable enough lead that they should be able to hold on to a lead at the top mark and stretch away on the downwind.
22 canto.
Okay, nice there.
Set up here, Betsy.
10 seconds on the box.
Okay, I'm ready.
8 on the box.
Amazing shots of these things just ripping through the water, isn't it? You just can't get used to this. How the world of sailing has changed forever thanks to this class.
And you never get tired of it. Never get tired of these AC-75 foiling monohulls that comfortably, in a blink of an eye, hit 40, 45 knots.
Coming into this top mark, they probably went out once we zoom out. Looks like INEOS is on ley line, but that's also going to create a split. I mean, the Italians are slowly coming back into it.
How big is this moment as we finish the penultimate leg of race number 6?
It's going to be a split at this gate as well. I think you're going to see INEOS roll into a jibe pretty quickly and try to stay in the same water on this downwind leg. Wow, big comeback.
INEOS Team UK running the top gate for the last time. But they are now being the hunted from Luna Rossa. It's not that far. They have dragged in some time. Believe you me, it was 32 seconds to the bottom gate. It's 9 seconds with one leg to go. Hold on.
Good pressure here, boys. Driving, but good phase.
Shirley, I'm surprised they didn't go earlier. Again, they're just spreading out the race course from time to time here. A little more than would be for my liking, but it just looks like a boat. Maybe they're not quite as comfortable either in their boat speed or their ability to maneuver.
I think it's quite patchy as well, and we saw that on the upwind leg. You know, there was moments where actually it was quite light, and the lighter it gets, the less confidence INEOS is in manoeuvres.
Yeah, you're right. It is looking a little bit more patchy out there, but I think INEOS did a nice job there, just jiving on the front of an edge of pressure. I think they timed that quite well. It'd be interesting to see here what happens behind, because they're running down the course into a couple of lulls as we look further down the course, just outrunning the pressure bands.
That's an intersection back for 2 and into finish. Down a couple there.
Tension has just ramped up a notch on this final leg of race 6. Although that INEOS lead has just expanded somewhat. It was around 50 odd coming into the top gate. Now it's expanded out to around 150, 160, and it keeps on going.
Nathan, final stretch of the racetrack here. Which position would forget the ahead behind position? Which position on the race course do you like from a breeze standpoint?
Yeah, as Paul was saying, it's actually lighter as you go down the course, and these boats are traveling faster than the wind speed, so it's almost as if the boat behind has the advantage because they're staying in the breeze a little bit longer. So INEOS, this lead is going to keep shrinking. It's going to get tighter and tighter all the way to the finishing line, and it's all about INEOS trying to just stay between Prada and the finishing line. I think they're far enough ahead to make it comfortable, but to answer your question, definitely more breeze up the course, getting lighter towards the finishing line.
It's all about controlling this final leg.
And INEOS just did that, Stephen, by jiving in that position, gave up maybe a tiny bit of their lead, Shirley, but now you kind of feel as the boat ahead, you got a little more control.
There's no panic though on the British boat. They're just taking their time, manoeuvring when they want to.
The grinders might be panicking. The heart rates might be going through the roof, but that's what they're paid for.
Racing towards the finish in the 6th race of the Prada Cup final.
Really well done by the British team. Coming into the finish line here, great control on this last leg. Very proud of them for a variety of reasons.
The Prada Cup final is far from over. INEOS Team UK are heading towards the finish line, and they will bag their first win in this final. It may be a small win, but it's a significant win. The comeback might just be on for INEOS Team UK. You can imagine the relief amongst this whole organisation. And wherever you're watching around the world, if you're an INEOS fan, you can have a little dance, a little jig. And for the first time in the final, Rossa Prada Pirelli get beaten.
They're running up, guys. You guys happy if we sail and pass the spectators?
Shirley, what would you say? What would you say? Would you say finally, or would you just say great job? Because I mean, obviously they got the start, they got that first cross, but man, oh man, they didn't. The Italians don't make it easy in this breeze condition, do they?
They're not giving anything away. I mean, so much is about the start. There's a great shot of the grinders there. We actually have some of the stats of the grinders. They were working at 93% of heart rate throughout that race. But so much is about executing the start, isn't it, Kenny? So tough.
One moment, and your fortunes can change looking forward. Confirmation, race number 6 of the Prada Cup final. Smiles, look at that. The Union Jack is at the top. INEOS Team UK get their first win by 14 seconds.
So here's something we haven't talked about in a while. We got a little nervous at the end, Shirley, that gap, the spread between the two boats got a little wide. But you know what? Ben Ainsley got himself at least an even start there. And in starting, whether you're a second ahead or behind off the starting line doesn't matter. It's that first cross. And this is where I think they won the race. They had a nice high mode right now and really got up in front of the Italian boat and forced them to tack off early. Here's a lee bow. You don't see lee bows in these boats very often. Again, this is match racing, real live match racing, going 40 knots upwind. Real live match racing, they like the left side, and that was interesting because in the first race we saw today, the right side was quite dominant. These guys, Shirley, made their gains up the left side of the race course on this first beat.
We're so close at gate 1, and again, you know, a big decision which side of the course, and INEOS picking that right-hand side of the course that we felt there was more pressure in, and really controlling that.
Going upwind, my goodness, the amount of pressure that is needed through these hydraulic systems by these grinders. They only work with 4 primary grinders on the INEOS boat compared to 5 or 6 on the other boats. Man, these guys worked hard. They stretched it out to a nice little lead here at this bottom gate second time around. But you know what? Things are about to get close. That other boat just doesn't go away, do they? Got real close. With less, I think it was 10 seconds or so at this mark rounding. 9 seconds. Race on. And there were some nervous moments, I think, for all British fans on this final run. But sure enough, INEOS does a nice job of controlling the last half of the race course, get themselves between the man and the hoop, so to speak, and eke out their first win. Congratulations. Great job. Great comeback. for INEOS and Ben Ainsley.
So there will be a feeling of satisfaction amongst the INEOS Team UK camp that the job has been done. They've pegged back a win, still trailing by 4. Remember, 1st to 7 goes through to challenge for the America's Cup. Let us go on board to Ben Ainsley. And Ben, I've got to say, it feels good to say congratulations. How does it feel for you?
Well, yeah, we're a bit happier with a win than been on the wrong side of it last few days of racing. So guys did a great job. Just, you know, they're not going to give up. These boys going to keep fighting all the way. So get one back is what we needed.
So Ben, you said something interesting between the last race. You said you thought you had a little bit of a pace deficit compared to this other boat, and you had to get a little aggressive in the pre-start. In that breeze strength, do you still think the same thing? Do you think you got a little pace deficit, or are they pretty even boats?
Yeah, I think it seems to me most people probably 12, 13 knots and above. The boats are pretty even, but beneath that, you know, we struggle. They know it, we know it, and that's the challenge we're up against. It is what it is. Do the best we can and keep trying to get better at the boat, particularly in the lighter airs, obviously. But you know, I can't say enough about the team. They don't give up. These guys, they keep pushing all the way.
Ben, it's Shirley here. We're struggling a little bit with your audio, but I think it's good enough. I mean, we've been saying in commentary that when the wind drops, almost Luna Rossa look a little bit more manoeuvrable. You know, how tough is it to sort of pick your strategy, knowing when the wind's down, it's hard to really react?
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. You know, Giles did a great job there. You know, we were chatting about it. You know, whether to attack on them more. We were concerned that we might start losing and might start taking ground out of us if we got into attack duel. So we were just kind of trying to shepherd them around a bit, but not easy in that breeze. And yeah, Giles did a great job. Boys did a great job sailing the boat.
One final thought, Ben, your grinders look like they've had a hell of a day at the office. Might be your chance to buy them a drink tonight because they did a hell of a job.
Yeah, I owe them many, many beers. That's for sure.
Thanks, mate. Go and enjoy this one. Still a long way to go. Appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, guys.
So Sir Ben Ainsley finishes race number 6 of the Prada Cup final with a smile on his face. And you know what? It's great to see the smile back, but there is a long way to go. Time to head on to Rossa Prada Pirelli, who still hold a 5-1 lead. Jimmy Spittle is standing by to have a yak with us. Gee, that was tight at the end there, Jimmy.
Yeah, it was a great race. I thought the boys did a great job. Really nice manoeuvres. Pretty steady, you know, the pressure in the end. But yeah, great race. Full credit to INEOS for getting that one.
Jimmy, did you ever really think this was going to be, in your wildest dreams, did you ever think this was going to be a sweep? Or, you know, you're not surprised that these guys are putting up a fight, I would imagine?
Oh, mate, it's always one at a time, you know. You never really think about the end result. And let's face it, I mean, the data's shown the boats are very, very similar. Yeah, they sailed a great race, and, you know, from the lead too, we tried to keep damage control, and there just wasn't a whole lot of opportunities. It was one of those racetracks where the lead boat was able to just stretch a little, especially on the upwind legs at times.
Jimmy, we're seeing more and more that it largely comes down to that pre-start, and goodness, it is so close between the boats. I mean, what's that like, knowing you have to deliver the perfect execution to pull that off?
Yeah, it's a full coordination. I mean, the entire team has to be on the same page, and boys did another great job in that one. We probably were the biggest lifter we had of the day straight after the start. But yeah, it was another well-executed race. We've obviously got a few things we're going to go back and sharpen up, but yeah, still proud of the team. You know, good race today in the first one, and yeah, full credit to INEOS for the second one.
Jimmy, I was about to suggest that it's the first time you haven't said we need to do some work on, but you've just said we need to sharpen up. But what do you need to sharpen up? Because you have been in this Prada Cup final a very slick crew.
I mean, sailing these boats, it's very, very difficult to do it perfectly. I don't think there's ever a day when you can go out and just be 100%. So, yeah, they always push you, and there's always a few things you could get better at, and we certainly have a few things from both races we'll be reviewing and coming back tomorrow stronger.
Look forward to seeing you on the water tomorrow, Jimmy. Thanks very much. Gave me the silent treatment. How about that? And so we have a 5-1 lead. Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. But the most important thing, if you are a fan of INEOS Team UK, the first win is in the bag. But I'll say it again, the mountain is still a big one to climb, Ken.
Yeah, really, again, the British boat actually had a nice little speed advantage upwind, and that could be, like we were talking about, sailing into more pressure at the top of the course. Really a speed advantage all the way around, but you go to the distance sailed, actually maybe a couple wind shifts, Shirley, going the Italians' way. So interesting. You rarely see speed go both ways for one boat, and then the distance sail go the other way for the other boat. That's actually kind of a rarity.
Let's take a look at the Worm, our efficiency analysis on legs 3 and 4, Kenny. Talk us through it, because I know you love the Worm.
I do. I love the Worm. The British boat is the gold line. The Italian boats is the yellowish line. And you see one big dip off the starting line there, Shirley. That's really the biggest difference in those dips down low, down to 20 knots. That's a big speed gain. And actually, the maneuvers for the British boat look a little better than they have been.
So that is the efficiency analysis. Now to the key moment on leg number 1, and this is the lee bow tack.
Yeah, this is the lee bow. This is that first cross that the whole world keeps talking about. We're back to upwind starts, and with upwind starts, it's not that 1 second give or take off the starting line. It's who comes out ahead on the first cross. This time, Shirley, it was clearly 2 boat lengths to the black boat with the orange stripes, not with the red stripes.
And nicely done. It's not easy to execute that, to get the timing just perfectly right, but good job there.
And not only that, they push them back to the short side and made the Italians have to do 2 quick tacks. So well positioned, well done just in general. And like you said, it's not easy to lee bow when these boats are coming together so fast. When do you pick your line? When do you start your turn? When do you get your boards out? Not easy to do.
I mean, Ben just said they really pick their moments when to be aggressive and when to just sail their own race.
So there you go. There's the key moment, a moment that saw INEOS Team UK bag their first win of the Prada Cup final. So the spectator fleet heading home from course number 8. Doesn't that make a magnificent sight on another beautiful day in Auckland City, where summer has been calling through the summer of 2020-2021. We've really had no bad days when it comes to the weather, and that's a satisfied crew. You can just sell. Look at the body language. Smiles going on. Hey guys, we got our first win. We are in this, and we are in this big time. But there is a long way to go. It's the first to 7. And Luna Rossa have already got 5 of those race wins. Time to go up high as we see Luna Rossa go home. And just get the thoughts of Paul Goodison, the mainsail trimmer from American Magic, who's been so much fun to have on board today in our commentary. What did you make of that day? And do you see improvements? Do you see a genuine fight back from INEOS, Paul?
Oh, what a great day for racing. I think we've seen how critical the starts are. It's just a game of inches, and you get those few inches at the start and get to manage and manipulate the race the way you want to go, and the other guys have to fight to do something a little different, and you see how quickly things change. It was great to see INEOS pull it out of the bag there and come out fighting and swinging, and to get one on the board. I think we're going to see some more close racing as the week unfolds.
So, Goody, tell us about your view up there. I mean, we all have imagined it. Shirley, sitting next to me, has done it a few times. But tell us about the view. What'd you learn today? Let's put it that way. What'd you learn?
There's only one place I would have rather have been today, and that would have been down there racing. This is not a bad alternative. It's great to see the boats in the pre-start. You can really see the pressure differences and the time on distance, and it's just been awesome to see some of the sails setups. It's a very different view from what you have most of the time sitting down there on the boat. You see how clean and nice the Luna Rossa setup looks, but also you see the big difference that they are on the smaller sails, which gives them that advantage upwind and in the tacking. And you see INEOS still a little bit nervous to drop to those smaller sails. And what a lot of guys didn't see, your viewers didn't see, was just off the course, you'd see Emirates Team New Zealand ripping around on a code 2. So going forward, that's going to be really interesting.
Goody, you know a lot of these key players really well. Obviously, you were in the Olympic team with Ben Ainsley, his training partner for a long time. And in the last Cup, you were in Artemis with Francesco Bruni. You know them well. What do you think they're feeling now as the pressure is fully getting loaded?
I think a lot of weight now comes off the INEOS team. They finally realised that they can win the races. They just have to start well. They just have to get out in front. But also, you think about Francesco and the guys on the Prada team. They don't actually have to change too much. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it goes the other way, and they're in the driving seat. And it's really going to be down to how it comes out tomorrow and whether you can execute your starts. I think we're going to see some more great racing, but as again, you get in front, it's going to be pretty hard to get around you.
So Nathan, down to you on the water, and this start, let's stick with the starting theme. So if you're still, the Brits are not, I wouldn't call them perfect. They had kind of an even start in this last one. You're going back in and you're coming up with strategy. We've all been there before. How are you approaching that room, that coaching room, and still trying to get the better on the starting line?
Yeah, well, as Goody said, and as everyone sort of commented on that race, it is all about the start. It's a real sailboat race out here, and that was the first time they actually started at the favoured end of the line. They had a little bit of pin and bias. There was a little bit of a left-hand shift, which resulted in them making that first cross that lee bow. So the coaching staff will be reviewing both races today. Ben and Giles will be in the room with a few other sailors, and they'll be looking at it and saying, hey, look, if we can just win the start or get an even start and have half a length gain at the first cross, we actually can boss the other boat around a bit and win races. And I still think the other boat, Prada looks to me a little bit faster in this below 12-knot wind range, but that race just that we saw then was 12 knots, maybe a bit above. There's nothing in it between the boats and that much wind speed, and I think it's all about the start. And, they finally won one start and they've won a race, so they've just got to keep focusing on the starts and the rest will just play into their hands.
Mark it down. There it is. It's all about the start. Let's just look at the standings now for the Prada Cup final 2021 on the Hauraki Golf. And that'll make people, look at that, there's that little dot, round 6 dot. It's a win, that means a win, that's a point for INEOS Team UK, but there are 5 of them above them from Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli only need 2 more, and they're the challenger for the America's Cup. But we know the British do not give up without a fight, and the fight is real tomorrow. On the Waitemata Harbour, this is what you can look forward to. Races 7 and 8. Port entry for the INEOS Team UK in race 7, and then it's the Italians in race number 8. Okay, team, final thoughts on this day. We didn't know what to expect. There was a sense that maybe INEOS were going to get gunned down, but I'll go to you briefly, Shirley. They didn't. They're back in the fight.
Oh.
I was waiting for that. Sense of relief.
That's a big breath out. And for these guys now, we were just watching them and the toe back in. The reality is when the breeze is lighter, the Italians have a bit of something extra. It means that this man, Sir Ben Ainsley, he has to deliver. I mean, they have to execute those starts just perfectly if they're going to get through this.
Bring the weather back into play tomorrow, right? The weather is becoming a key factor.
Here we go, folks. It's game on yet again. The Prada Cup Final Series starts back tomorrow, 4 o'clock local time. The score as it stands, Luna Rossa 5, INEOS Team UK 1. It is not done and dusted. We are back tomorrow to bring you the best of the Prada Cup Final. See you tomorrow.
Today's America's Cup Racing is brought to you from Auckland, New Zealand.